Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. And even if we live in difficult times for the moment. Continuing my videos on healing emotional trauma, today I want to focus on prenatal trauma, the trauma of life in the womb. This is a specialty of mine that, from my training and also my first books, which were written on the formative impact of life in the womb, and how our womb and early life influences how we live our later life. Now, even though we may have had difficult birthing experiences, that doesn't mean that we are, destined to have to repeat this difficulty all the time in our lives. Healing is always possible. But what needs to happen first is an understanding that awareness, conscious awareness, needs to be there in order for us to, if you like, identify our wounds and then allow them to rise up. And at this, as I said earlier, at this time in our evolution, in our on the planet, there is a massive spiritual awakening, and things are coming up, wounds are coming up in all of us in order to be cleansed, transformed, and healed, released. And so it's not always easy, but at the same time, healing is always possible. So let's talk about life in the womb. Well, we know that the womb, our mother's womb, if you like, our life in the womb is our first school. So we learn about a lot of things in there. First of all, okay, our needs are being met, through our mother and the placenta and the umbilical cord. Everything is provided for us. However, we also know, and I say this from personal experience because that's what got me tuned in, if you like, at a soul level to write these books about life in the womb. I was born extremely prematurely and suffered a lot in terms of the separation from my own mother at a very early stage in life. So we inhabit a womb that has a history often, because not having an ego, a conscious ego, the baby takes on everything that the mother feels and thinks during the pregnancy. And that means that we may have imprints from that time. I'll give you an example. If you were born, if your mother was pregnant with you and had a loss herself, i.e. of her father, of somebody in her life, her womb will be permeated with a sadness. I mean, that's just one rather, a simple example. But, or another one, which is when a pregnant mother has lost a baby beforehand, as in a miscarriage or premature death of a baby in her life. Then there is also that history. And for the mother, there may be a difficulty with bonding, a fear of bonding with the new pregnancy in case she might lose it. Now, this is a normal human, very human experience to have, because I have experienced a loss of a baby, and it's natural, it's part of the human condition that fear might be in the womb as well. Then the birth experience comes next. Everything that the mother goes through during her pregnancy with you will have some kind of an impact on you. So as a therapist, of more than 30 years, 40 years now, it is part of my practice, always has been, to, as much as possible, get a history of the pregnancy, my client's pregnancy, or with her mother, and her early life, i.e. if there have been experiences. I remember once working with a woman who had great difficulty settling anywhere globally on the planet. She kept having to move house because she never felt settled. She just couldn't feel settled. She was restless. She had to keep moving. And it turned out that in her particular history, her parents had to move precipitously during a war period in that country. So in the middle of the night, they may have to get up and move. In other words, there was always a fear there of and needing to, in some way, make sure that they're safe. So they couldn't settle. So this was an interesting one. And I've always found in all my work, in all my years, that the history is important. Why? Because it gives you a sense of what that little incoming soul is absorbing. Now, how do we work with this? Okay, the first thing is just becoming aware. Becoming aware, as I've said before. How will you become aware? Well, any prenatal and early life disturbance or trauma tends to be enacted, triggered, let's say, in intimate relationships. That's one of the most common ones, an inability to have an intimate relationship, or fears around intimacy, fears of abandonment, fears of, betrayal, anything like that. This will get triggered in an intimate, emotional and personal relationship. So if you find yourself experiencing a fear of abandonment, fear of loss, anything, fear of attachment. We know about, the work of Bowlby and the psychoanalysts who worked with attachment patterns. Attachment patterns are what, the description, if you like, of, or an analysis of the way we attach as children. How do we attach to our primary object, which is our mothers? How do we attach? Are we anxious, fear? Are we very close? Or are we a little bit sort of taking a distance, which can also happen because there may be a fear of abandonment, and therefore I mustn't get too close because my mother may leave me, or I won't be able to deal with this loss, etc., etc. So once you become aware of patterns in you, which, as I say, tend to come forth during, when you yourself start to attach and have relationships, particularly intimate relationships, begin to, with the awareness, begin to allow it to come to the surface. Move through the feelings. Move through the feelings, as I've said before, and, allow yourself to feel what was there, and bring in, most importantly now, bring in the light. Because what you must remember is you are a being of light. We're all beings of light, and we all have within us everything we need to heal. Okay, a therapist, a healer can accompany you on this journey. But ultimately, it's you yourself who have to give yourself permission to heal. So there is no quick route to this. But once you have awareness, use whatever creative means are the best for you. You know, writing, journaling, walking in nature, meditation, drawing, painting. Try not to analyze too much. This is the change. I mean, I've changed my way of working over the years. I was trained in psychoanalysis or psychoanalytic work, but I know that although the wisdom of depth psychology is still there and the insights are there, we have to actually do the healing from our hearts. And this we can do by bringing in this wonderful light, this connection we have, that we all have, to the divine, and bringing it down into the cells of our body and releasing, and use the violet flame. I have done violet flame meditations before, videos before, but you'll find many of these. The violet flame comes in, was brought to the planet by Saint Germain, and the violet flame transmutes and cleans everything that no longer serves your soul. So, last words of guidance. Don't rush it. Don't ever rush it. Allow it to come to the surface. And don't judge it either. And there are lots of other techniques you can do, emotional freedom techniques, etc., to enable you to accept these feelings that are difficult to accept. But as I said before, you have to be able to feel them in order to, and bring them to the surface, in order to actually transmute them then and let them go. And then you say you're ready for healing, you want healing, and you are open and you surrender to the healing. Another thing that's very, very important is to practice the spiritual qualities such as gratitude, being grateful. You know, it can be very difficult if you've had a history of broken relationships, for example, to be grateful for this abandonment feeling you have within, and that it has come to you in many places. But if you learn somehow to be grateful for everything that happens, because it actually is part of your journey, and it may be preparing you for the next aspect of your growth, the next evolution. Every experience is part of our growth. And we will keep what I know about the soul, we will keep drawing into our lives relationships and events that trigger this particular wound that we have that we need to heal. And that's what will happen. And once it is healed or you have released it, then you won't attract it anymore, because your light changes, your frequency changes. So that's all I want to say today, and I will be making more videos. I look forward to your comments. Please like and subscribe, and also on my website you will find lots of resources. In particular, my Healing from Within guide to working with your inner life, with the figures in your inner life. It's called Healing from Within, a combination of depth, Jungian psychology and spirituality. And this is a step-by-step guide. I hope to see you all again soon, and I wish you a happy and prosperous healing. Namaste for now.